Why did this happen to me? Why am I different? They see the apples, but they don't see my pain. This tree is heavy. Every step feels like a burden. I am not a tree. I am a human being. Why won't it stop growing? I cannot rest. I cannot sleep. This tree is on my head, but the pain is in my heart. I just want peace. I just want to be normal. Why do they only see the apples? Does anyone see me?
In the quiet village of Umoka, there lived a young woman named Adana. Adana was known for two things: her beauty and the tree on her head. She was tall and graceful. Her skin was smooth like fresh palm oil. Her smile was soft and warm. But no one looked at her smile, because from the middle of her head grew a real apple tree. Not a small plant, a real tree with branches, with green leaves, with red shining apples. It stood tall above her head, like a crown made by nature. But it was not a crown of joy. It was a crown of burden. How it started. Adana was born normal. She laughed like other children. She ran like other children. She braided her hair like other girls. Nothing was strange about her until the day she turned 16. That morning, her mother saw a tiny green leaf coming out of her scalp. They thought it was a joke. They laughed. But by evening, the leaf had grown into a small branch. By the next morning, the branch was longer. Within 7 days, a full apple tree stood on her head. The village was afraid. Some said she was cursed. Some said she was blessed. Some said she was not human. The village chief called the elders. They prayed. They poured oil. They spoke strong words. But the tree did not go away. Instead, the apples began to grow. One small boy was brave. He climbed on a stone and plucked one apple. Everyone shouted at him, but the boy bit the apple. He stopped. His eyes widened. "It is sweet," he cried, "sweeter than any fruit in the land." Soon, others kissed it. It was the sweetest apple anyone had ever eaten. That was the day everything changed. Every Monday. The apples did not grow every day. They ripened only once a week, on Monday. And so every Monday morning, Adana was made to walk through the main village road. Villagers came with big baskets, large bags, buckets, wheelbarrows. They stood and waited. As she walked slowly, they picked the apples from her head. Some were gentle, some pulled hard. Sometimes branches broke, sometimes leaves tore, sometimes she felt pain, but nobody noticed. Nobody asked. They only wanted apples. The life she lived. Adana was not allowed to go out any other day. They feared she might hide somewhere and keep the apples for herself, so she stayed inside her small hut from Tuesday to Sunday. She could not lie down properly because of the tree. She could not rest her head on a pillow. When she tried to sleep, branches pressed against the wall. When wind blew, the tree shook. She woke up many nights crying. She missed simple things. She missed braiding her hair. She missed resting her head on her mother's lap. She missed walking freely. People did not call her Adana anymore. They called her Apple Girl, Tree Woman, Blessing Tree. But she did not feel like a blessing. She felt like a farm. At first, villagers took only what they needed. But greed entered their hearts. Some people plucked more than they could eat. They began to sell the apples in other villages. They became rich. The chief built a bigger house. Traders came from far places. The village became known as the village of sweet apples. But no one gave Adana money. No one gave her comfort. They only said, "You are lucky, you are special." But she did not feel lucky. She felt used. The widow. There was one poor widow in the village. Her name was Mama Ifeoma. She was quiet. She did not talk too much. Every Monday, she came with a small bowl. She never rushed. She never pushed. One Monday, she noticed something. Adana's eyes were red, her face was tired, her shoulders were bent. As others pushed and stretched their hands for apples, Mama Ifeoma stepped closer. She did not reach for fruit. She looked at Adana's face and asked softly, "My daughter, are you tired?" Adana froze. No one had ever asked her that. Not her mother, not the chief, not the villagers. Only apples mattered to them. Her lips began to shake, and for the first time in many months, Adana cried. As her tears dropped to the ground, something strange happened. The apples began to change color. Bright red turned dark brown. Shiny skin became rough. One apple fell. It was rotten. Another fell. It broke into dust. The villagers gasped. They tried to pluck the remaining apples, but each one they touched turned black in their hands. Within minutes, every apple on the tree had rotted. The sweet smell became bitter. The ground was filled with spoiled fruit. The villagers shouted, "What is happening? What have you done?" They looked at Adana with anger, but Mama Ifeoma stood in front of her. Mama Ifeoma held Adana's hand and spoke loudly. "She is not your farm. She is not your market. She is a human being." Silence filled the air. Adana continued crying. But now, her tears were different. They were tears of truth. As she cried, the tree began to shake. Leaves fell like rain. Branches dried up. The trunk became smaller, 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 until nothing remained. No tree, no branches, no apples. Only Adana's natural hair. The villagers stood in shock. The miracle was gone. The sweet apples were gone. The fame was gone. Their wealth was gone because they forgot one thing: humanity. That evening, Mama Ifeoma packed her few things. She took Adana with her. They left Umoka quietly. No one stopped them. Some villagers cried, some begged, but it was too late. The blessing had left with the girl. From that day, no fruit grew well in Umoka again. Their soil became dry. Their harvest became small. They learnt the hard way. When you treat a person like an object, you lose the gift inside them. Lessons from this story: never treat people like tools for your gain. A blessing becomes a curse when there is no kindness. Greed can destroy even the sweetest gift. Every human being deserves love, not just usefulness. When you forget someone's humanity, you lose their blessing.